From flashy streets to dangerous backroads, F1 has raced on some of the world's most dreadful tracks. In this video, we will explore the 10 weirdest circuits that have tested drivers' skills and minds. 1. Las Vegas. We've become used to some unusual race names in the 2020 Formula One season, but nothing as extraordinary as the Caesars Palace Grand Prix that was held in Las Vegas in 1981-82. And where was the track built? In the parking lot of the famous Caesars Palace Hotel, of course. The Las Vegas Grand Prix, held in the parking lot of Caesars Palace, is widely considered one of the strangest F1 tracks in history. The configuration had the feel of a car park as well, shaped like a capital E and not popular with the drivers, doubly so given the heat of the Nevada desert. There was the added ignominy of much of Las Vegas being baffled at this unfamiliar racing series blasting around a parking lot in the city. Fortunately, it lasted only 2 years but remains one of the most curious venues ever to host Grand Prix racing. Unlike traditional racetracks, this circuit was set up in the parking lot of a casino, making it feel more like a temporary setup than a true racing venue. The circuit was flat, uninspiring, and contained 14 turns packed into a compact 2-3-mile course. Its design was more like a street circuit but without any real streets. Being in the Nevada desert, temperatures could soar, making it physically demanding for drivers. The extreme heat, combined with the lack of shade, was exhausting for both the teams and the fans. While Las Vegas is known for its entertainment, the race failed to generate the same excitement. The event was poorly attended, with many describing the atmosphere as lacking the grandeur that F1 is known for. The track is remembered more for its oddity than its racing action. Despite the glitzy location, the Vegas Grand Prix didn't last long, disappearing from the F1 calendar after just 2 seasons. Racing in a casino parking lot under the scorching sun, with a track that failed to live up to F1 standards, makes this one of the weirdest circuits in F1 history. 2. Avus. Blasting up one side of a motorway and down the other is nobody's idea of a great circuit configuration. But that was exactly the type of track that hosted the 1959 German Grand Prix. The historic Avus circuit, an acronym for the German Automobile Traffic and Training Road, hosted Grand Prix cars in the pre-war years when streamlined bodywork was often used. The terrifyingly steep banking of the north turn was its trademark, and was still there when the track was used in a shortened configuration in 1959. Tony Brooks won the race for Vanwall after taking pole position at an average speed of 237 km/h. But tragedy overshadowed the event as French legend Jean Barra was killed in a crash in the sports car race that preceded the Grand Prix. The Avus track in Berlin, Germany, is one of the most unusual and dangerous circuits in F1 history, making it a prime candidate for the weirdest tracks ever raced on. The Avus layout was incredibly simple. It consisted of just 2 long straights connected by a hairpin turn at one end and a dangerously steep banked corner at the other. The banking was at an extreme 43-degree angle, much higher than most modern tracks. Because of its straight nature, Avus was one of the fastest circuits ever. Cars would reach terrifying speeds on the straights, which made it thrilling yet hazardous. The extreme speed and banked corner made it one of the most dangerous tracks F1 ever raced on. It had very little safety infrastructure, and the 1959 race was marred by the tragic death of driver Jean Barra after he crashed on the banked turn. Avus was so dangerous and odd that it only hosted one official F1 race in 1959. While its simplicity made it unique, the dangers far outweighed its appeal, and it was eventually deemed too unsafe for modern racing. A highway-turned racetrack with high speeds, a death-defying banked curve, and a layout that was more suited for drag races than F1 makes Avus an unforgettable oddity in F1 history. Monaco is one of the most iconic yet unusual circuits in F1 history, earning its place as one of the weirdest tracks for racing. The Monaco Grand Prix is a street circuit, winding through the glamorous streets of Monte Carlo. Unlike traditional racetracks, it's set against a backdrop of luxury yachts, casinos, and narrow, winding roads that were never meant for high-speed racing. The circuit is extremely narrow and tight, with 19 turns squeezed into just 2 miles. It includes some of the most famous and challenging corners in F1, like the tight hairpin at the Fairmont Hotel and the tunnel section, which tests the driver's ability to adapt to rapid changes in lighting. Because of the tight layout, overtaking is nearly impossible on most parts of the track. This makes qualifying crucial and can lead to professional races where the starting grid rarely changes by the finish. The proximity of barriers and the lack of runoff areas mean that even the smallest mistake can result in a crash. It's not uncommon for drivers to end up in the harbor if they misjudge a corner near the waterfront. Despite the challenges and quirks, Monaco is considered the jewel in the crown of F1. Racing through narrow city streets, where overtaking is nearly impossible and mistakes can send you into a barrier or the sea, makes Monaco one of the most unique and odd circuits in F1 history. 4. Valencia. With the teams working out of garages built in a fish market, a swing bridge that was asphalted shut, a backdrop of America's Cup team bases, and an urban setting that was a strange hybrid of street circuit and permanent course, the Valencia street circuit was a modern oddity. F1 raced here 5 times from 2008-2012, with Michael Schumacher famously taking the only podium finish of his 3-year comeback with Mercedes at the final race. The circuit was soon abandoned, although Fernando Alonso's charging victory from 11th on the grid in a mediocre Ferrari in the final race means this odd venue will at least be remembered for one great racing performance. The Valencia Street Circuit in Spain, which hosted the European Grand Prix, is considered one of the stranger F1 tracks due to its unconventional design and lackluster racing despite its prime location. Unlike other street circuits, Valencia's layout featured long straights and wide turns, making it feel more like a hybrid between a purpose-built track and a street race. The 3-mile circuit had 25 turns, but many of them were awkwardly placed, leading to minimal overtaking opportunities. One of the biggest criticisms of the Valencia circuit was its lack of action. Despite the beautiful location, the races often ended up being processional, with very little on-track drama or overtaking, making it one of the less memorable circuits in terms of entertainment. While the circuit was visually appealing, with modern architecture and bridges incorporated into the track, it never quite lived up to its potential. Many fans and drivers found the circuit's design uninspiring, leading to its removal from the F1 calendar after just 5 years. Valencia stands as a cautionary tale of how even the most picturesque setting can't save a track from being considered weird or lackluster if it doesn't deliver exciting racing. 5. Indianapolis. The Indianapolis 500 was included on the calendar to justify the World Championship tag, even though there was minimal crossover of cars and competitors. In fact, no driver who scored points in those 11 races ever scored a point in a conventional Grand Prix, although Alberto Ascari did contest the 1952 race on his way to the championship. But to the frustration of statisticians, those 11 races do count in the historical record, which is why names like Bill Vukovich, Roger Ward, and Johnny Parsons are often listed as Grand Prix winners. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is an iconic venue in motorsports, but its appearance on the Formula One calendar was met with intrigue and controversy. Here's what made it one of the weirdest F1 tracks. While Indianapolis is famous for the Indy 500, which uses an oval track, F1 raced on a road course that utilized part of the oval combined with an infield section. This mix of oval banking and tight infield corners was quite unique in F1. The track had a blend of high-speed sections on the banked oval turn and straight and slow, technical infield corners. The juxtaposition of extreme speed and slow, tight corners made it a challenge for F1 cars designed for more fluid, curvy circuits. One of the strangest and most controversial moments in F1 history happened at Indianapolis in 2005. Due to safety concerns with Michelin tires on the banked corner, only 6 cars using Bridgestone tires took part in the race, while 14 others withdrew. This resulted in an almost farcical event that frustrated fans and tarnished the track's reputation in F1. F1 cars rarely race on banked tracks, and the high-speed Turn 1, which is part of the oval, provided an unusual challenge for drivers. The sheer G-force and tire stress were higher than what most F1 circuits would demand. The combination of the unique layout, the disastrous 2005 event, and its ties to IndyCar made Indianapolis one of the weirdest but also most memorable stops on the F1 calendar. It was eventually dropped after 2007. 6. The Pescara Circuit. The Pescara Circuit in Italy stands out as one of the weirdest and most remarkable tracks in F1 history, primarily due to its sheer length and the challenges it posed to drivers. At an astounding 16 miles 25, 8 kilometers, Pescara remains the longest circuit ever used in Formula One. Its enormous length meant that drivers had to memorize a vast number of turns and road conditions, which could vary widely throughout the course. The circuit featured narrow roads, blind corners, and changes in elevation, making it a highly dangerous venue. Its public road nature meant it lacked modern safety features like guardrails or runoff areas. Racing at such high speeds on ordinary roads was treacherous, with little margin for error. Because of its long and winding nature through rural areas, spectators were spread out over miles, which made the atmosphere feel less centralized compared to typical circuits. The layout also made it hard for teams to communicate or recover cars during accidents. 7. Dallas searing heat. Bumpy track surface that fell apart, branded a joke by several drivers. The one and only Dallas Grand Prix is not fondly remembered by Formula One. One of a spate of American city tracks that cropped up in this era. Following Las Vegas and preceding Detroit and Phoenix, it was at least relatively quick for a street circuit, and even drew a rare mistake out of Alain Prost. Worst of all, it was clear that there were going to be big problems in the Grand Prix, with a Can-Am race the day before tearing up the track surface. Emergency resurfacing didn't help, and plenty of drivers were caught out by the track as it broke up on race day. 8. Reims. If the Bahrain Outer Circuit counts as an almost oval, then surely the Reims circuit, which was an irregular host of the French Grand Prix in the early years of the World Championship, was the trailblazer for that status. Perhaps more tri-oval than oval, with straights of just over 2 kilometers, it was a super-fast circuit with a couple of slow corners that produced some legendary slipstreaming battles, most famously between Mike Hawthorne and Juan Manuel Fangio in 1953. Reims eventually fell into disuse, a victim of financial troubles, after hosting 11 World Championship races. Reims-Gueux is one of the most unusual and historically significant circuits in F1, known for its high-speed nature and simple layout. The Reims-Gueux circuit was located in the Champagne region of France, using public roads to form a triangular-shaped track surrounded by open fields and vineyards. The track passed through villages, making it a rural, scenic, yet intense racing venue. The circuit was essentially a series of long straights connected by just a few tight corners, making it one of the fastest tracks in F1 history. Drivers would push their cars to the limit on the straights, but the lack of corners meant that it lacked the technical challenges typical of modern F1 circuits. Like many circuits of its time, Reims had minimal safety features. With no real barriers or runoff areas, accidents could be catastrophic. Its rural setting also meant that it lacked modern amenities for teams and spectators, contributing to its rustic, outdated feel. Reims was dropped from the F1 calendar in 1966 as newer, more technical circuits became the norm. However, its high-speed nature and its historical significance in the early years of F1 cemented its place as one of the more unique tracks. Nürburgring Nordschleife, 1951–1976. Nestled in the Eifel Mountains of Germany, the Nürburgring Nordschleife is a legendary road course known for its picturesque yet perilous landscape. Often referred to as the Green Hell, this 14-mile circuit features 172 corners, steep elevations, and a mix of high-speed sections and tight hairpins. It was notorious for its complexity and demanding nature, testing driver skills to the limit. The Nordschleife lacked modern safety features, making it extremely dangerous. Crashes were frequent, and the long laps made it challenging for teams to respond quickly to incidents. Though it hosted several memorable F1 races, the track was eventually deemed too dangerous for the sport, leading to its replacement by the modern Grand Prix circuit. It remains a favorite for enthusiasts and continues to be used for various motorsport events. 9. Watkins Glen, 1961–80. Set in the picturesque Finger Lakes region of New York, Watkins Glen International is a road course that blends scenic beauty with a challenging layout. The original 3.4-mile circuit featured a mix of high-speed straights and technical turns, including the infamous the S's section. The layout was designed to test drivers' skill and precision. Watkins Glen was known for its festive atmosphere, attracting huge crowds and a passionate fan base. The combination of racing and stunning scenery made it a favorite among both drivers and spectators. Despite its popularity, the circuit was gradually updated to meet modern safety standards, leading to changes in the layout. The F1 races at Watkins Glen remain a cherished part of motorsport history, symbolizing the spirit of American road racing. As we've traveled through the weirdest tracks in F1 history, from the treacherous twists of Pescara to the high speeds of Reims, we're left with some intriguing questions. Which of these tracks would you have loved to race on? What do you think makes a track truly unique? Share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going.